It's a way of going back and rewriting history, dead issues, to make it seem as if modern progressives are fixing things, when in reality, all they're doing is trying to demand more. I'm Dr. Duke, and this is Constitution Corner. Well, one of the things that always amazes me about progressive left-wing ideology, which, as we know, is nothing more than a stale grandchild of socialist Marxist dialectic. Modern progressivism. One of the things that gets me, modern progressives, like their socialist counterparts, they can't leave history alone. They realize that looking back at history does not conform. The lessons of history do not support progressive values, do not promote progressive worldview, and certainly don't promote socialism. In fact, when we look back at the train wreck that is socialism and socialist-inspired movements like modern progressivism, we find that history tends to be on the side of the conservatives. All of us who have warned over the centuries about what kind of a world you're going to get if you finally succumb to Marxist socialist dialectic. We've got the fall of the Soviet Union. We've got the current dysfunction of China as two just obvious examples of what happens. But the socialist, the progressive, can't leave history alone, because history is a way they go back and rewrite history, revisionist history, to make it look like everything points to them. And what's going on in Virginia right now, I think, is a classic example of this. You've got the Democrats in Virginia, progressive Democrats, in control of the governor's mansion and the state assembly and the state senate. State Congress. So you have a situation in Virginia where it's complete control by Democrats for the first time in a long time. And that's largely due to the influence of the suburbs of Virginia that are nearest to Washington, D.C., that influx of radical, progressive, liberal, beltway swamper types who have helped to turn that state totally blue, where it used to be red, if not purple. And so what are they doing? They're going back in history, and they're trying to resurrect the ERA, if you could believe that, the Equal Rights Amendment. They're trying to go back to something that was formally died about 1982, when not enough states passed the referendum on it, and ultimately the statute of limitations has come and gone. And so technically the ERA is a dead issue. It has been until Virginia now wants to resurrect it. They want to go back to this relic of 1960s and 70s thinking, and to promote the fact that they would be the 38th state to ratify the Equal Rights Act, which then they hope could go back to Congress and become law. And why do they want to do this? It's not enough. If you understand progressive thinking, it's not enough to have equal rights. Equality has never been what the progressive left has wanted. What they want is absolute preferences for certain special minority groups. Take a look at Title. You want to see what the problem of the ERA amendment is? Take a look at Title IX. Title IX was supposed to be simply a federal law or federal guidelines that instructed universities to make equal opportunity for female athletes. That's all it was supposed to be, Title IX. A chance to get girls into playing sports with something like the same consistency that men do, to make sure that women who want to play sports in college have as much ability to play as men do. And look what it's become over the years. It's become all this guidance about transgender bathrooms. It's become all of this guidance that's telling elementary and middle schools how and what they're supposed to do in terms of certain guidelines and issues. What happens is the ERA amendment, which isn't going to pass, but which Virginia's trying to resurrect, would give actual benefits to women over and above equality. The ERA first was proposed in the 1920s, after women had gotten the right to vote. And it was the right to vote that actually made women equals constitutionally. Our constitutionally demands that men and women, or blacks and whites, or gays and straights, have equal representation before the law. That's all you need. Equality in America means that there is no legal way that government or the courts can discriminate against you. And lo and behold, we have that now. Women have the same rights as men. Women's rights can't be infringed by courts or laws. So therefore, the ERA amendment that they're trying to pass is not only superfluous, but it would seek to go beyond equality, which has already been attained, and provide special benefits for women, or to treat women in ways that we treat African Americans, for instance, in terms of certain civil rights legislation, or the way some progressives want us to treat transgender people, to carve out special niches and special protections over and above what men are able to do. And this is what's so insidious about this. We got to give a lot of thanks to Phyllis Schlafly, who in the 70s and the 80s was a huge was the first really big voice to point this out, that the Equal Rights Amendment that was being postulated in the House and the Senate back in the 70s was not about equality. Equality had been achieved. It was about special protections and therefore special perks and benefits for females simply on the basis of sex. The fact that Virginia's calling this, trying to push this back now, is a way of rewriting history in the way I began this segment. It's a way of going back and rewriting history, dead issues, to make it seem as if modern progressives are fixing things, when in reality, all they're doing is trying to demand more. The American Constitution is the way to go. The American Constitution gave women the right to vote and made women equal under the law. The ERA is something very, very different from that, and it fits very much into the progressive lexicon of special holdouts, special giveaways for certain constituent minority groups. It's not going to go anywhere, but don't forget why they're doing this in Virginia. What happens when Democrats control everything? This has been Liberty News Hour. As always, you can go to thenewamerican.com and jbs.org for more information on these topics, as well as more shows.